Ayotunde means joy has returned. Stay tuned to find out how we named our son. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tracy Blake Salami. I make motherhood, lifestyle, and beauty videos here on YouTube every week. This week I have something extra special in that I'm discussing my son's name and how we came up with his name. If you have never watched the Iwalewa video, click on the link. Go watch that video. It was very enlightening for my family to understand the Nigerian perspective to naming. I also thought that Nigerians liked the way I discussed some of the problems that people come up with or come into when they're trying to decide on names, like, are we going to switch it up and go Western, or are we going to stay traditional? So if you haven't watched the video, please go and watch it. It's a really good video. It's one of my first YouTube videos. As you can tell, I'm in Iwa's room, so if you watch that video, you'll remember the purple wall. She still has pretty much all things purple in her room. Now, Ayo, his room is still incomplete. He's not really sleeping in it. We start like some sort of safari theme, but I haven't really kept up with it. But maybe that's a project I can work on later in, I don't know, the fall. We'll get around to it. But for now, I want to just talk about his name. Names are so important in Nigerian culture, but you know, a lot of Americans don't give a lot of thought to meanings of names. They are more concerned with like how the name sounds or how it flows, or maybe it's a name that was passed down from another relative who meant a lot to a different person. Like, there's so many other reasons why Americans name their children what they name them other than the meaning. And I know that's something that Nigerians take very serious, the meaning and the history and how the name may have been included in consideration of the culture and the family and the family's traditions. So I think it's something important for me to talk about on this channel, since I do have a Nigerian family. I'm a part of a Nigerian family. My son's name is Ayotunde Williams, but we didn't know that that was going to be his name until the very last minute. As you all know, I took a long hiatus from this channel during my pregnancy. I learned that I was pregnant right after Ewa's first year of birthday. During the time when I was pregnant, there were a lot of things that happened that impacted his naming, and I'll get to that at the end of this video, so you have to keep watching. But let's start with the very first name we considered from my father-in-law that we should consider. And the first name is Ifeoluwa. Ifeoluwa means love and love of God. And I actually love the names that start with Ife. And you have to remember that I'm American. I don't always know what the translations are. Google were my best friend. Like, I didn't understand what all these meanings were. But I will tell you that my husband and I went back and forth over the use of Olua, because I don't like the sound of Olua, and my husband had a problem with the fact that I didn't like the sound. First of all, it's Americans who are only concerned about how something sounds when it comes to a name, but think about the meaning, you know, of God. And how can you say that you don't like a name that's of God? And I say, I know it sounds so vain and crass. But I was concerned, as opposed to with Iwa. With Iwa, we were concerned more about like discrimination and people pronouncing it, and all of that. I was concerned about my son being raised in the U.S. as a black male, and how it's already difficult being a black man in this country. I don't want to go into all the psychological trauma of everything that has happened or has gone on with African Americans, but it definitely informs the way that I think. So I have to acknowledge that, and we can unpack that on a different date, time, or video. But for now, I was really concerned about how are we going to introduce this young black king into the world? What sort of name that would give people who hear it for the first time something to think about, and a name that almost commands respect, and that is clear, clean, and just a great, strong name. And anything that sounded like Olua, I used to cringe. And it's something that I regret, because even one of my favorite YouTubers, Cece Yemi, she named her daughter Tiara Olua. And I thought it was beautiful, the way she kind of combined names that were considered like Nigerian, and at the same time kind of Western with the tiara going on. So, I don't know. I have my hang-ups with the way some of the names sound, knowing that my child will be raised in America and then have to go to school and deal with all of that. Similar stuff to what I talked about in the Iwalewa video, but kind of different and more of a vain / cosmetic way, which I know is not the way to enter into conversations about naming and dealing with meanings. But that's the reality of where I was during my pregnancy. So Ifeoluwa is a beautiful name, and it's something that I won't say I regret, but it's really a beautiful name, and it's the Ife that I really like. Another Ife name that I loved, actually, because it didn't have Olua, I'll be honest, was Ife Dayo. Ife Dayo means that love has turned to joy. And I thought that it was just a beautiful way to really, I guess, talk about our marriage in a way that, over time, in all marriages, there are a lot of highs and lows, peaks and valleys, mountains and valleys, whatever you want to call it. But it is, for our children, our fruit, something to say when you have children coming into the world. It's no more the honeymoon phase. It's really joy. And our children have brought us a lot of joy. And so it's kind of like love turned to joy. Like, I don't know. This is very much the American way of thinking about the naming. So you have to excuse me, folks. The other names that we considered that included joy was Teni Ayo. Teni Ayo. Teniayo. The foundation of joy. I actually like the name. It just wasn't in like the top, like I gotta have that name. So Teniayo was another name. Another name we considered, and you'll know why in a minute, was Ibukun Olua, blessings of God. Ibukun Olua. I initially said, nah, because Ibukun is the name of one of my husband's best friends. He was a groomsman in our wedding, and I just feel like we should have something fresh, new. Not something that someone so close to us already bears. But blessings of God is certainly, when you think about the meaning, of course, to all the names, all the meanings, all the names, then you wouldn't know, okay, which one to choose if we're going based just purely on meanings, because all of the meanings and all the things that we consider along with the meanings, there's so much, you don't know what to do. Our dad also sent us Simi Lolua, I rest in God. And I will be honest, and I'll tell you a little something. We were in the hospital. My husband was actually on the phone. I was in the hospital by myself at the time with the baby. and it was time to like do the birth certificate stuff, and he was on his way. And before he left the house to come pick us up, we were struggling over the name Simi Lolua. And all I could think about in my Americana fashion is, but doesn't that sound a little bit like Coming to America, the movie? Remember Simi, the sidekick? Simi wasn't the prince, even though he lied to the girl in the movie saying that he was a prince, when Hakeem was really the prince. So, in only the Americana fashion would I say, oh, we can't choose that name. I don't want a Simi. I don't want my son to be Simi. He has to be Hakeem. He has to be the prince or the king or something superficial and very dumb. But work with me, people. I'm being honest. So Simi Lolua was another name that we considered that we ultimately passed on. A name that I actually liked that we didn't choose was Forlorn. I don't know. I just love the name. It means walking with wealth. And aside from the actual meaning of the name, I actually liked it. I don't think that my husband was so much settled on it. Another name we received was Anjorin, which if you're a Yoruba and you're watching this video, then you know that there's a proverb that goes along with Anjorin. And I can't say the whole entire proverb, but basically it talks about how when you have the name Anjorin, basically it's like a group of friends who are working together, but you don't know what the future holds, and you don't know who will be the successful one. So you are thinking of naming your child this name. You know they will grow up with groups of friends, and you don't know which is going to be the successful one. I don't know. My husband tried to help me understand the proverb. But if you're watching this video and you understand the name Anjorin and the proverb, break it down for us in the comment section, because I don't quite get it. Although I thought I did when my husband was explaining it to me. But basically I just gather that they're talking about a group of people who are growing up together, and the future is unknown about which one would be the wealthy or successful one. And I don't know what Anjorin means, like literally. Like, what does that mean? Like, explain the proverbs to us. Thank you. I can trust my YouTube family to do that. And then another name that I really liked, this one actually came from Mommy, from my mother-in-law, and it was Ayotunde. Ayotunde. It means twice the joy. And I think it's very literal in that we have Iwa, we have, at the time, unnamed baby Ayo, we have twice the joy. And that name was seriously like battling Ayotunde. Another name that is listed here that we did not use was Olajire. Olajire means wealth awakes to goodness. I love the name Olajire. And yeah, it just didn't make it to the top. So we have Ife Olua, Ife Dayo, Tiniayo, Ibukunolua, Forlorn, Anjorin, Ayodije, Ayodeji, Olajire, and Simi Lolua. There was one other name that I liked that we didn't actually use. First of all, because it's another name of another family member, but it just, you know, we just didn't use it. Someone else bears that name. But I really like the name Ayotunde. And Ayotunde means my joy has arrived. And yeah, it just didn't make the cut. So let's talk about, before I get into how we named Ayo and all of that, like how we finally chose his names, I want to talk about English names that we considered, that my husband actually brought to me, and I was like, nah son, we can't name our child that. And I'm just going to pull out the funny ones, just because. The number one was Princeton, which is great. My cousin, who had a son a month or two before Ayo, And they're pregnant again, by the way. That won't be happening here. But they named their son Princeton James, and my maiden name was Blake. So Princeton James Blake. And I love the name. It's so English. It's so clean. It's just a nice, like, clean name. Like, I don't know. It's a beautiful name. But Lakeland liked the name as well. But I said, you know, we could consider it, but not really, because my cousin just named his child Princeton. So it can't work. And then the other name was Drake, which I just can't take serious, because I don't take Drake the singer serious. So you see how kind of superficial I am this go round versus being all deep the first time. And then the last name was Elvis. Elvis. I said, babe, we cannot name our child Elvis. Like, you gotta be kidding me. And I have, like, our correspondence talking to each other via text or WhatsApp or whatever. And I'm like, no, we can't name our child Elvis. So there are a lot of names that I won't mention because we don't know what the future holds, although I know what I've prayed to God for and I have it. But I dare not tell my family that. So yeah, I think ultimately the name that we have is the perfect name. If you could tell, there was a theme going on here with the names, and it just so happened to be that way. A lot of Ifes, a lot of Oluwas, a lot of Ayos. And my son's names are Ayotunde, William, Ayodeji, Olajire, Anjorin, Ife Oluwa, Akani, Salami. What's actually on his birth certificate is Ayotunde William Salami. And I love his name. My son was named in memory of my late brother-in-law, Ahmed. And I talked about it at the naming, and everyone was emotional. And I feel like I turned the naming ceremony into an event where it wasn't as joyous because I dwelt so much on who he was named in memory of. But Ahmed was someone who, to me, was almost like a what we call Irish twins, because he's so close in age to my husband, and they look so much alike. I mean, they don't really look alike, but they look alike. And I don't know, I just felt that it was important for us to acknowledge Ahmed. A lot of people who are watching this video now only know about this channel because of Ahmed, because while he was living, he helped me kind of get my channel going and get the name out and kind of push me to keep going and doing videos. And Ahmed passed away last summer, right around the time that we learned we were pregnant, and we actually learned that we were having a boy. It must have been the week before or after he passed away. And I felt like it was God saying to us that he's coming back in a different form, and that joy is returning to us in the form of another boy, a son or a man into the family. We lost one on one end, and we're gaining one on another end, and we thank God for that. And so before I get emotional or turn this video into something that I didn't mean it to be, I just want to say, you know, rest in peace to Ahmed. I know his soul is resting in peace, and I hold dear our last conversations with each other before he passed away. And I just thank God that I had such a great relationship with my brother-in-law. I'm really sad that he didn't know that we were pregnant. We didn't tell him. We didn't tell anyone at that time. But we certainly knew when he passed away that, one, I was pregnant, and two, that we were having a boy. And Ayotunde means that my joy has returned. And it's the truth. And that so much of Ahmed passing is still painful, but a lot of it has been replaced with the joy of another son into the family. And I even think that they look alike. And so I'm going to include a short picture of Ayotunde and Ahmed. And I just feel like they are on one accord, like they perhaps met each other in passing, and I don't know. It's just a special name. Um, Ayotunde in general, the pregnancy was very much easier than Iwa. Iwa, I had morning sickness throughout. With Ayo, I overate. And he wanted burgers. He wanted all the. Let me tell you, I ate so much Burger King while I was pregnant. I downloaded the app and put it on my phone just because they give out 99-cent Whoppers every now and again. So it was bad. I overate with Ayo, which is kind of odd in that I didn't gain weight. I actually lost weight during the pregnancy and I'm gaining now. So, I don't know. Like Ayo's pregnancy was very much a smooth sailing pregnancy. He has brought a lot of joy into my life. And when he was born, I just felt so complete. Because you know how after you have your first child, you know you're going to be a mom again at some point. I don't know if that's going to be true after Ayo. I don't think so. But we'll know. Only God knows what the future holds. And I just know that with Iwalewa and Ayo, I feel very much complete and ready to move on into another phase of my life, which, includes raising them and trying to help them be really solid human beings who are God-fearing, who contribute to society in a real way. I hope that they get the best of education that their skills and talents can afford them. And I just pray to God that they turn out whole and that anything that I do with them and for them and their dad does with them and for them really propels them to really advance and be an example to everyone. And I just cringe at the thought of me not holding my son or daughter long enough, not spending enough time reading with them, or anything that you hear about later in life with people when they say, oh, my mom didn't do this, or my mom was never that. I don't want to be that mom. And that's why I've chosen the career path that I've chosen, meaning the area of practice of law that I'm in, the type of firm that I work in, is specifically chosen so that I can be the best mom possible. And I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I'm doing my very best. I know my husband is doing his very best, and we just pray that we have some all-around great children. And if you like this video, if you have any questions or comments about the names, about the meanings, if you have something to add, please feel free to leave a comment. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. I really like to see that you guys are enjoying the content. Let me know if there's something else related to this naming issue that you want to discuss. Just leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm always looking to see how people are coming to find my content. On YouTube, they give us a lot of analytics, and I know that a lot of you are Nigerian, and I say hey to my Nigerian brothers and sisters, but I also have a lot of Americans who are somehow interested in the culture. So thank you again for coming, and don't forget to subscribe because I will have a lot of content coming out this summer that I think will be exciting and fun and very interesting and thought-provoking at the same time. I do have a couple of requests from folks already, and I have some things up my sleeve, so don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again. And until next time, take care of yourself. Bye.